this huge shock wave that went through the financial services industry. I don't consider it just crypto, but obviously the FTX collapse is going to have some peripheral damage, and you're starting to see it happen. And I think there's more to come. No entrepreneur gets it right every time. So, to me, it doesn't change who I am or what I do or how I support entrepreneurs. But no, I don't investigate in people that are under investigation. I can't, and nor would I. It's now up to Sam Bankman-Fried to clear his name. He knows that. He's going to have to do whatever he can and come out and explain what happened. I want an explanation. Every investor does. Are you kidding? I was an investor in FTX International and an investor in FTX US, and I was a paid spokesperson. And so those are all facts, and I'm living with them every day. This was not one of my good investments. This was a bad investment for a whole host of reasons. Luckily, I'm fortunate that this particular investment, both the ones in FTX, the accounts that I had in FTX with millions of dollars in them, and the ownership of FTX US, was not in a fund that had other LPs. I owned it 100%. We hadn't made the decision to diversify yet. We were waiting to see if FTX would go public and how regulation was going to come forward before we put other people's money at risk. This was all my money. So I'm thankful for that. Of course, I hate losing money, but it's not going to change the way I operate or what I'm going to do tomorrow morning. I'm going to continue to be an investor. This is not about crypto. This is about bad policy, bad regulation or lack thereof, if you want to put it that way, and some very weak compliance management. That's what's happened to these companies. It doesn't change the potential of what crypto is going to be, but certainly it was a hit. There's no question about it. And, it's embarrassing for me, obviously. So much due diligence had already occurred. I mean, if you look at the cap table of who was investors in this company, it's the who's who of financial services. And so I'm one of them. We're all embarrassed. We feel foolish. But luckily, when I look at the long term, thank goodness I make more good investments than bad ones. That's the way I look at it. And I get a call from one of my team members who is looking at the situation saying, hey, listen, Kevin, why don't we buy FTX? If it's really on the desk for sale, if CZ is going to buy it for between $6 and $8 million, why don't we buy it? And why can't we be part of that? Because remember, FTX had prior just done a round at a 32 billion valuation. And this was before any of this nefarious stuff was flying around. It was the Thursday. And so it wasn't clear to me whether it was 6 or 8 billion that they were looking for to clear the demand, or if you want to call it the run on the bank. But I needed to know the real number before we could syndicate that amount of capital. That's a lot of money. And so I called a contact there that I knew worked on the balance sheet, and I just got a voicemail, so I left it with that individual. And then maybe 2 minutes later, Sam called me back. And I said, Sam, look, I know you're going through a lot of pressure right now with this cash call and the whole thing with Binance and everything else, but I can't do anything with this or get involved unless I know what the number is. And he said, the number's 8, not 6. I said, okay, that's all I need to know. And that kind of a number, believe it or not, is not that big for sovereign wealth funds. And so, and I work with them in the indexing business, so that's when I started making calls. And there was a fair amount of going back and forth that afternoon. We delayed takeoff from the runway because I didn't want to lose signal. We were dealing with some sovereign wealth funds agents at that time. And then Gensler went on the air about 3 o'clock, and he made it clear that there was a hammer coming down. And the minute that occurred and the regulator was going to get involved and then these nefarious claims and allegations started, that option of syndicating it with sovereign wealth was no longer an option for obvious reasons. And so I didn't call Sam back. I texted him back, said it's not going to happen. And that was the end of that. And then over the weekend, the alleged hack occurred. My accounts have 0 in them. There is no accounting records there. They've been scraped. I talked to many other institutions about those accounts over the weekend. We were talking with our compliance departments and our lawyers, obviously, and that's where it stands today. Obviously, and I want to make a comment about this, This is a tragic story, not just from a financial collapse, but it's a human story. It's an unbelievable story. It's probably going to be told, for years to come. And the chapters haven't even been written yet. We're not even in the first chapter yet. Everything's allegation and insinuendo. We don't know anything yet. And so I'm trying to keep an open mind about it. I'm not happy. I don't like losing that much money, but it doesn't change anything that I'm going to do tomorrow morning.
I mean, you've been taking a lot of heat. I'm sure you've seen the headlines from everyone from Nero Rubini to BitBoy, or
no, it's not BitBoy. It's not BitBoy. His real name is BitBozo.
Okay. Well, I guess what would you like to say to the haters? Because everyone's coming out of the woodwork now, right?
Yeah. Look, I understand how the internet works and how to. People want to say inflammatory things to get more users and rile up I'm a big boy on this stuff. I have to be honest with you without sounding trite. It's all noise to me. It's just Rubini, that's just noise. This BitBozo guy, that's just noise. I don't care. But at the end of the day, it's got to be facts. The whole thing has to be driven by the truth. And we don't have it yet. So I'd like to get the truth. That's what I'm after. And, there's no question, all of the paid spokespersons, including me and Tom Brady and Seth Curry and Giselle and right down the list, we're all being sued. During that process, we're going to get to the truth. When litigation scrapes to the truth, and that's what's going to happen. Look, I would have rather not been involved in this, but it doesn't change anything I do, and it doesn't change my policy of transparency. And if people want to be crazy online, I've been watching this for years. I mean, it's noise, and I tell my whole team it's noise. I tell my kids it's noise. You have to have thick skin to do what I do. Everybody wants to know what exactly happened, and the only way he can clear his name, and let me be clear about this, is the facts, the truth, the timeline. It all has to come out, and it will. The one unique thing about this situation versus other financial collapses and calamities and disasters, everything that occurred here is on the blockchain. Every single transaction is recorded. Now, you may not know who the wallet is, who owns it, or who stole it, whatever these allegations are, but every single transaction will be able to be found. And so there's no hiding from it. It's going to come clean.
Do you have hate for him now?
No, I don't hate people. I don't hate people. Particularly in investing, you're taking a risk every day. And depending on what the truth is about this, I'm very disappointed. And I wish I could be the perfect investor. I'm not. And people that tell me they have a perfect track record are so full of BS. That's just not true. It's impossible to get it right. This was a big hit. Thank goodness it was my money and only my money.